Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, or for the third time this evening, or fourth time, live on tape from a secret location in historic downtown St. John's comes In the Library of Graphic Literature with your host, me, Wallace. Anyway, I tried to do this a couple of times. I'm posting a little later than I usually do, but I tried a couple of times to shoot this video and the power went out in my camera and several other issues, but I persevered. The battery hopefully will have enough charge to do this, and I can post this and talk with you about everything we love about our favorite art form, comics. Anyway, this week, here I'll pretend like, there I unwrapped it. This week, one of the first things I want to talk about was this Ghost in the Shell 3-book hardcover collection. There, from Kodansha. This was very, very nice. I had a look through it earlier, and there was just some really great artwork. I really like the Otomo sort of style of manga, and this sort of looks like something that I'll probably enjoy. And of course, to say nothing about how every time I hear people talk about manga and all that, they always mention Ghost in the Shell, so I figured if I'm going to have a library, especially having to do with comics, why not have a bit of international flavor to it? And this seems to fit the bill. So, okay, so there was that one. Oh, then there was this little thing, Benjamin Marrow's Night Business. This is from Fantagraphics, and it's sort of this rough, urban, gritty type of comic. I like the sort of inside pages there. It's not exactly my style that I really love for comics, but sometimes, as I've learned over the past few years, sometimes it's not just the art, it truly is the story. That was one of the big lessons I learned by becoming a fan of Gilbert Hernandez. It wasn't necessarily the style he was drawing or how good he could draw this or that or whatever. His stories were are just so incredible and all that you just don't even pay attention to the art anymore in some ways. Having drawn myself grown up, I always considered art to be such a big part of the comic book and all that, but as I got into my 20s and older, I started to realize that really it was about the storytelling. No 14-year-old me would be throwing a fit to hear that. Now, on to this other book, The Stardust Kid, J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Ploog. This one I figured I'd check out just because I'm a bit of a Mike Ploog fan. So I figure this, have a close-up look there. He has sort of a really neat style. He's done Werewolf by Night and Frankenstein Monster from Marvel during the 70s, and I just always loved his art. And when I seen this, something new from Mike Ploog, I jumped at the chance. Okay, and the big pretend unwrapping there again, even though I did this earlier. The big book this week is The Bronze Age Batgirl, Volume 1, and this basically starts out from the very first appearance of Batgirl. There was a Batgirl in the 50s, but she didn't last very long, and it was one of those from the campy era. Anyway, into the 60s we go, and here we see the classic Detective Comics. What was it? 359. And the $1 million debut of Batgirl. I always loved this cover. It's one of the classic DC covers. So Infantino, obviously very big in designing her look and all that. One thing I like about this book actually is that there is a lot of Gil Kane art in it. He did quite a few Batgirl stories back then, and I'm a huge Gil Kane fan. So yeah, if any of you, for you Gil Kane fanatics out there, of course he's very distinctive. You can tell Gil Kane a Gil Kane mile away. And there's not just one or two stories, it's quite a few stories. So yeah, it's worth checking out. This also has one of my favorite stories, which was from, or not one of my favorite stories, but one of my favorite comics, which I can remember buying as a kid, which was, there we go, come on, Batman Family #1. I can remember buying that. I think it was on vacation as a kid in Prince Edward Island, and when I ever would be out on vacation, I'd always be buying comics here and there and reading them. I can remember buying that one. Anyway, it's a nice little omnibus, and for you Batgirl fans, a must-have. Okay, I think that's just about it for this week. Oh, this is left over from last week or the week before. I Hate Fairyland, and it's not open, so it gives me something to open for this week. Even though this is an older book, I just wanted to get a bit of unwrapping actually on tape to make me feel like a complete episode of in the Library of Graphic Literature. So it looks interesting. I guess I've heard mixed reviews of I Hate Fairyland, or its other title, which I won't use. Very, very energetic. I'm going to give it a read and see what it's like. Anyway, I've heard people in the local comic book stores. Some people liked it. Some people really didn't like it. Who knows? I'm going to check it out anyway. So that was everything in terms of new stuff that I bought this week. Oh, hang on a sec. Mother Box is saying something to me. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, let's talk about something, small publisher. Okay, what about Craig Yoe? What excellent idea. Okay. Yeah, thanks to Mother Box here. She reminded me I should have a chat with you about one of my favorite publishers, Yoe Books. Yoe Books started, I think it was 2010, and Yoe Books is, of course, run by Craig Yoe, and he puts out a lot of great collections of older artwork, historical artwork, and puts out some really actually very interesting collections. I have piles and piles of his books up here on the shelf, but I just went through and I picked out just a few just to share quickly with you, just to give you an idea of, you know, the things that Craig does. One of my all-time favorites actually is this one. It's The Strange World of Your Dreams. It's basically a collection of artwork by Jack Kirby, Mort Meskin, Bill Drought, and more. And it's from the comic series The Strange World of Your Dreams. So it's great. I love reading these old-time horror comics like this type of thing, especially any old Kirby stuff. Or Mort Meskin. I was always a big fan of Mort Meskin. And this is the only place that I've actually been able to find this particular piece of Kirby lore. But there's just something about a Craig Yoe book that's so cool. So for you Kirby fans out there, you gotta have this book. One of the coolest things that actually is funny, I never noticed, and I like the sort of touches that Craig puts on the book sometimes. And I really didn't notice this until I'd had this for a while. But I was looking at it one night, and I noticed in the background that sort of pattern there that's like from a pillowcase or a pillow from, I can remember having pillows like that as a kid. And it was just like, just the thought of, you know, going that extra little bit to add something like that, I thought it was really cool. So this is probably, like I say, I mean, there's so many of them that are my favorite, but this I gotta say, I guess because of the KIRBY is really up there. A couple other ones here now. Ooh, Ditko Shorts. I love this one, especially for the cover here. It has some neat embossed work on it, especially with there and the a little bit of a spot gloss there. This is one thing that originally drew me to Yoe Books were a couple of his Ditko collections, and this was, of course, one of the more recent ones. I love this, how that's done there. But like I say, the embossed scene, this pattern here on the back, it's, I don't know, it's like he goes above and beyond. I think it just adds so much to the presentation that I love it. Love this embossed stuff like that. Beautiful, beautiful one. This was actually, I think this was one of the first ones too that I bought, and this was actually what turned me on to Dick Briefer. This is his archive of Frankenstein stories, and this is where I first came across Dick Briefer and his character Frankenstein, which he has both as a sort of a funny monster, but also as a sort of a monstrous monster, all in the same characters, just sometimes he's sort of a more realistic monster, sometimes he's a cartoony type of monster. That's what I love about the cover here too, is how there's the more sort of comedic Frankenstein, and that's more the horrible Frankenstein. But I love this, especially with the eyes. Like I say, once again, that's another cool thing. Just a little die cut like that just pops it out. And last but not least, of course, as I said once before, I'm a big Ditko fan, and this is one of two books actually. There was Gorgo, and then there, I can see it up here, Kanga, and he did two other big Ditko books too. I'm looking at them up there on my shelf. And this, of course, is what just solidified my love for his style of books. And just great reads and all that too. It's like his super weird heroes collection of all these strange superheroes from long ago that, you know, not like your Batmans and Supermans, the more weirder superheroes. That was a great collection too. Anyway, if you're looking for a good Christmas gift for someone, actually, Yoe Books, I find are great for that, because they reach out to more than, I think, just comic book fans. I think people just for general interest and all that would find these books attractive on the first part, and then interesting to read once they get into them. There's always a good introductory set of essays, back history, stuff like that, so it really does sort of set the stage for you too as a reader. So like I say, over Christmas, buy someone a Yoe book. check out his site and all that. There's like I say, there's all kinds of different books he has, and see what fits you. Anyway, I think that's it for about this week. Gonna wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and whatever else. The season's greetings to everyone out there anyway, and a Happy New Year to most, and you know, keep on reading them comic books. Oh yes, I remember I said in last week's show that this week I'd have a guest, Dennis Osbourne, a fellow omnibus collector of mine, on, and we were going to do a best of 2017. Well, we decided to put that off until next Thursday, because we figure, well, that's closer to New Year's, plus hopefully we'll get another shipment, get a few more new comics to share with you. But what we're going to do is we're going to share some of our favorite books with you people out there in the world of comic books. So once again, have a great week, and we'll see you in 7 days. And in the meantime, keep on reading comics. See you in the comic book store.